How many times have you completely blamed yourself for a lack of discipline? You know the cycle. You set a goal, you promise yourself, okay, this time I'm really going to focus. And then, almost involuntarily, you just drift right back to your old, comfortable habits. Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into a pretty profound realization about human behavior. And that is, your deepest struggles with discipline are entirely misunderstood. You aren't fundamentally lazy. You are simply reacting to hidden psychological cues. So today, we're going to completely deconstruct the neuroscience of cravings. We'll explore exactly why your brain is biologically wired to chase pleasure and show you how to hack those internal systems so that discipline actually becomes, well, enjoyable. I want you to be totally honest with me for a second. Do you actually want to check your phone right now? Or maybe open a new tab in your browser? It's an exhausting cycle, right? That constant, invisible pull of distraction. But if you just pause and examine that urge for a moment, you'll realize something kind of strange. It's not actually the glowing rectangle of glass and metal that you want. You're craving a feeling. You are craving a sudden spike of dopamine, or maybe a momentary distraction from a really difficult task, or just an escape from boredom. The phone? The phone is just a vehicle. This brilliantly illustrates a concept made famous by author Alan Carr. In his incredibly successful method for helping people quit smoking, Carr basically flips the entire paradigm upside down. He tells smokers, stop lying to yourself. You know you don't actually want to smoke. And honestly, it's a profound observation, because smokers don't crave the taste or the terrible smell of burning tobacco. What they crave is the relief from the mental burden of nicotine withdrawal. We rarely crave the bad habit itself, guys. We crave the relief it temporarily provides us. So this completely changes how we need to define a craving. A craving is simply the sense that something is missing. It's this deep, underlying desire to change your internal state. Think of it like a biological thermostat. When the temperature in a room drops, there's a gap between what your body is sensing, feeling cold, and what it actually wants to sense, feeling warm. That gap? That gap is the craving. Whether you're binge eating, lighting up a cigarette, or just endlessly scrolling online, what you deeply, biologically want isn't the specific item. You just want to feel different. To truly master this, we have to recognize a really fundamental truth about our biology. We are walking around with ancient brains in a highly stimulating, hyper-engineered modern world. Every single behavior we exhibit has a surface-level craving, like, oh, I want to check Instagram, but beneath that is an ancient underlying motive. Your brain did not evolve with a desire to play video games. It evolved to conserve energy, to obtain food, to find love, and to win social acceptance. Just look at how directly our modern addictions map right onto our ancient evolutionary desires. You aren't addicted to a dating app. Your ancient brain is just trying to find love and reproduce. You aren't helplessly drawn to social media. Your biology is desperately trying to connect, bond, and win social acceptance in your tribe. Endlessly searching Google? That's just the ancient human need to reduce uncertainty in what used to be a very dangerous world. Achieving status? Video games? Your bad habits are quite literally just modern-day solutions to ancient desires. They are new versions of old vices. But how does our brain actually decide which of these modern habits to use to solve those ancient problems? Well, it all comes down to the neuroscience of prediction. Your brain is a highly advanced, continuously running prediction machine. It is constantly absorbing information, noticing environmental cues, and running these incredibly rapid simulations to predict exactly what you should do in the very next moment to optimize your survival and, of course, your dopamine levels. Let's look at two simple examples. You see a hot stove. Instantly, your brain predicts, if I touch that, I'm going to get burned. You feel a sense of caution, so you pull back. Or you see a traffic light turn green. Your brain predicts, if I step on the gas right now, I'll safely cross the intersection. You feel momentum, so you press the pedal. Sometimes life feels purely reactive, like things are just happening to us. But structurally, human behavior is almost entirely predictive. And this brings us to the core thesis of our explainer today. The true cause of your habits is actually the prediction that precedes them. It is not the objective reality of the event itself. It's how your brain interprets it. Two people can look at the exact same cigarette. One predicts stress relief and feels a massive craving. The other predicts lung cancer and feels totally repulsed. The exact same visual cue sparks a completely different behavioral loop entirely, depending on that subconscious prediction. The prediction creates the feeling, and it's the feeling that actually drives your action. So, if our actions are driven by these subconscious predictions,
then the secret to building ironclad discipline isn't about relying on some brute force willpower. We know that runs out. It's about systematically redesigning the predictions inside your brain. And one of the absolutely most powerful psychological pivots you can make involves changing just a single word in your vocabulary. We are always complaining about what we have to do, right? I have to wake up early. I have to make this annoying call. I have to cook. But what happens to your brain chemistry when you change have to get to?
To show you the raw emotional power of this shift, consider this incredibly moving perspective. A man who uses a wheelchair was once asked if it was difficult being confined to it. His response was just staggering. He said, "I'm not confined to my wheelchair. I am liberated by it. If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and never able to leave my house." The physical facts of his reality didn't change one bit, but his prediction and his association with that wheelchair completely shifted from a cage to a key. This is exactly how you reprogram the mind.
And you can apply this exact reframing technique to make your hardest habits feel incredibly attractive. Instead of dreading that morning run because you think it's going to drain your energy, reframe it. It's time to build endurance and get fast. Living below your means? That's not a sacrifice. It is literally purchasing future freedom. Meditating isn't about perfectly clearing your mind. Every single distraction is actually an opportunity to practice your focus. And those anxious pregame jitters you get before a big presentation, that is not fear. That is your nervous system giving you a biological adrenaline rush so you can perform at your absolute peak. You transition from seeing these behaviors as heavy burdens to seeing them as biological advantages. Now, mindset shifts are incredible, but we can actually take this a step further. What if you could artificially engineer these positive predictions on demand? This is where we introduce a deeply practical neuroscience-backed tool, the motivation ritual. The goal here is to neurologically link a really difficult habit that you usually avoid to a positive psychological state that you already enjoy. The mechanics of this are wonderfully simple. Step 1, find something that naturally puts you in a relaxed, focused, or happy state. Step 2, create a very short, repeatable routine out of it. And step 3, perform this exact routine every single time, right before you engage in a difficult habit. By doing this over and over, you aren't just getting ready to work. You are actively hacking your brain's association network. There's this great story about writer and boxer Ed Latimer, who noticed something fascinating about his own workflow. He wrote, "My focus and concentration goes up just by putting my headphones on while writing. I don't even have to play any music." Without even realizing it, he had classically conditioned his own brain. In the beginning, he put his headphones on, he played music he loved, and he did deep work. But after doing that 20 times, the simple physical friction of the headphones touching his ears became the cue itself. His brain instantly predicted deep focus, and that dopamine craving to get to work just followed naturally. You can adapt this exact strategy to lower the friction for almost anything in your life. Let's say you want to feel less stressed before tackling a really complex project. Create a tiny, silly routine. Take 3 deep breaths, smile, pet your dog, then open your laptop. Just repeat this every single day. Eventually, your brain associates that breathe and smile routine with being in a flow state. It becomes a cue that physically triggers happiness and anticipation. Once that neurological link is forged, you can break it out anytime you need to completely override your emotional state. Now, this reveals a really powerful truth about breaking our negative cycles as well. If the secret to building good habits is making them attractive by associating them with positive feelings, well, we have to do the exact opposite to break our addictions to distraction. We must apply the inversion of the second law of behavior change. You have to make it deeply unattractive. Because remember, bad habits only hold power over us because of the false predictions our brains are making about them. If you want to stop endlessly scrolling, you have to actively dismantle that prediction in real time. Mentally highlight the true benefits of avoiding the phone. Remind yourself that putting the screen down gives you your time back. It gives you your autonomy back. By destroying the illusion that checking the screen will bring you joy, you strip the craving of its biological power entirely. Discipline is not a cage, guys. Discipline is liberation, and it's achieved simply by reframing the associations we hold in our own minds. We've covered some really deep psychological ground today, from the ancient motives buried deep in our biology to the predictive, dopamine-driven machinery of the modern brain. You now know that you aren't fundamentally flawed when you lack motivation. You just need to alter the cues and rewrite the predictions that are driving your feelings. So I want to leave you with this thought. Take a look at your own life. Look at the hard habit you've been avoiding, or that daily distraction you've been indulging in. What prediction are you going to change today?